Okay, let's talk about something that is probably one of the toughest challenges in, well, any professional setting, really. We're going to dive into how to turn bad news into good faith. It's all about taking those conversations we dread and, believe it or not, using them to build even stronger trust. You know that feeling, right? That little pit in your stomach when you have to call up a client or tell a customer something they're absolutely not going to want to hear. We've all been there. It's this universal moment of dread, but how we handle it can completely flip the script. Look, trying to avoid bad news just isn't an option in the real world. Stuff happens. So the real power isn't in preventing every single problem, but in mastering how you deliver the news when things go wrong. It's a skill that can turn a potential disaster into a moment of real, genuine connection. So, first things first, let's just accept a fundamental truth. Bad news is inevitable. It is going to happen. Before we can even think about solving the problem, we have to accept that it's just an unavoidable part of doing business. No person, no company, no system is ever going to be perfect. And I'm talking about the everyday stuff, right? A customer's order is running late, the product they wanted is suddenly out of stock, a simple human mistake happens. These aren't necessarily signs of a failing business, they're just part of the process. The real question isn't if these things will happen, it's what are you going to do when they do? So, since we know these problems are coming, we can't just be reactive and wing it in the moment. No, we need a game plan. And that brings us to a strategy for honesty, a clear, repeatable way to handle things that's built on respect and, well, honesty. When you're delivering bad news, the objective isn't just to get it over with as fast as possible. The real goals are 1, to be crystal clear, 2, to reduce the customer's anxiety and uncertainty, and 3, probably most importantly, is to maintain the trust you've worked so hard to build. And all of that, it really just comes down to showing genuine respect. So, a really powerful way to do this is with something called the indirect approach. You don't just drop the bomb and run. Step 1, you start with some context, something to soften the blow. Step 2, you share the bad news, clearly and honestly, no sugarcoating. But the most crucial part is step 3. You immediately pivot to solutions. You empower the customer with alternatives. But a good strategy goes way beyond just the apology. This is where we get into something called service recovery. And this is where the real transformation happens. It's about so much more than just saying, "I'm sorry." Action. That is what defines service recovery. It isn't just words. It's about the tangible, concrete steps you take to make things right and to actively mend a relationship that's just been put under a whole lot of stress. Think about it like this. You're at a restaurant and your meal is taking forever. Just acknowledging it is, well, it's necessary. But bringing a complimentary appetizer to the table while you wait, now that's service recovery. It's a real gesture of goodwill that says, hey, we value you and we are going to make this right. And through this entire process, your tone is everything. I mean, everything. If you sound defensive or dismissive, you might as well just be pouring gasoline on the fire. But if you can approach it with empathy and accountability, you're not just fixing a problem anymore. You're actively rebuilding the foundation of trust, maybe even making it stronger. All of this leads to a really powerful and honestly a kind of counterintuitive idea: building trust through failure. What if a mistake wasn't something to be afraid of, but was actually an opportunity we should embrace? As the source material puts it so well, negative news isn't the end of the relationship. A mistake, a delay, a problem, it doesn't have to be a fatal blow. It's actually a critical moment, a crossroads that can define the entire future of that relationship. And right there, that's the ultimate opportunity. By handling bad news with clarity, with respect, and with a genuine effort to make things right, you prove that your commitment goes beyond just the easy, happy transactions. This whole experience can forge a bond of trust that is way stronger than it was before the mistake ever even happened. So, let's just end with this question. The next time something goes wrong, try not to see it as just a problem to manage. See it as a chance to prove just how much you value your customers. Because who knows, your next mistake just might become your greatest opportunity.